And in the Impact segment tonight, the very controversial stop-and-frisk police tactic here in New York City. Federal Judge Shira Scheindlin, well-known liberal jurist, I think it's Scheindlin, has ruled that the NYPD is violating the constitutional rights of minorities by stopping and searching them disproportionately to others. Scheindlin did not order the stop-and-frisk program to cease, but did appoint a civilian overseer. The ruling enraged Mayor Bloomberg.
This is a very dangerous decision made by a judge that I think just does not understand how policing works and what is compliant with the U.S. Constitution as determined by the Supreme Court. We go to where the reports of crime are. Those, unfortunately, happen to be poor neighborhoods and minority neighborhoods. But that's not the original objective or the intent or how we get there. We get there when there's a crime reported.
With us now, criminal defense attorney Jeffrey Lichtman. So you support the judge's ruling, but aren't you worried about a rise in crime?
I'm not, and I'll tell you why. Because for every 69 times a police officer stops a target who he believes has a gun on his person, he finds one gun. There's only 5% of all the stops made, only 5% result in an arrest. So it doesn't really impact the crime rate. I think it's a hair-trigger belief that it would impact it, but in practice it really doesn't.
Okay. You know you're desperately wrong, right?
I'm desperately right.
And you know I'm going to have to use facts to prove that.
Yeah.
Okay. Here are the facts. Chicago doesn't have a stop and frisk, all right? Their murder rate per 100,000 is 19, all right? Philadelphia, stop and frisk, very, very light, 21.5 per 100,000. New York City, stop and frisk, 5. So you can see in cities that use stop and frisk, like New York, the murder rate is much lower. And here's what you're not taking into account. Everybody knows in these neighborhoods the cops are going to stop and frisk. You agree with that?
I do.
Okay.
I do.
So they are inhibited from taking the gun out of the house. They are inhibited from walking around on the streets with the gun. And in New York City, when it didn't have this, had one of the highest murder rates in the country, and now it's the lowest. Come on, counselor.
I'll tell you why you're wrong. Okay, first of all, 200,000 of these stops, it is now documented, the NYPD has admitted were done without reasonable suspicion. 200,000.
That's not what the court case said.
In 2004, for 1% of all the stops, there was nothing written, no reasonable suspicion was written in the cops' book, their record book. In 2009, it went from 1% to 36%. This is the NYPD's fault for simply not following the Fourth Amendment. And Judge Scheindlin did not stop and frisk.
It didn't stop.
She simply said
she couldn't stop the program because the Supreme Court has ruled that it's a legitimate program under the Constitution.
And it is. I think that it is.
But what she did do was put a civilian in charge, and the NYPD is going to make some adjustments, and maybe they should. But once again, what you're looking at is you're looking at a presumption that the New York City Police Department is going out every morning and targeting young black males, all right? They want to roust young black males. And I don't believe that for a second. My grandfather was NYPD. I know these guys as well as anybody. They're going out to the, as Bloomberg said, to the worst neighborhoods, the highest crime neighborhoods, and they're looking, and they know who the wise guys are. They know where the drug dens are. They know where, they're not just walking around going, hey, you, come over here, all right? They're trying to suppress violent crime, and they're succeeding. Yet Scheindlin and the left doesn't like it because black males are involved. That's why they don't like it.
You know, listen, I'm against crime just because I'm a criminal defense lawyer.
I'm glad.
Of course I'm against crime.
We're all against crime.
However, the problem is that they're stopping 80% of all the people that they're stopping are black and Hispanic. 80% is not the amount of people, black and Hispanic, that are committing the crimes.
But that's because those neighborhoods are almost entirely 100%.
Why can't they follow the Constitution? Why can't they follow their internal rules that say you have to list a reasonable suspicion for the stop? It's the NYPD's
You know what? I'll agree with you. The policeman on the street who stops and frisks should have a pad or a computer and says, this is why I stopped so-and-so. I agree.
They won't do it.
Okay? Wait a minute.
They don't do it. They don't do it in 1/3, 36% of the time.
They'll do it now.
Now they'll do it, but you know what? Had they done it before...
All right, so maybe something good is this. But if they do away with this program, that would be a disaster.
I don't disagree with you at all on that.
All right, Counselor.